Welcome to Grow Your Strength. We're going to start a new program. So we'll start with breathing through the class. The previous 6 weeks, we did a lot of breathing in the chair and standing. Today, I'm going to take it back to the floor. But if you're looking for alternatives, I'll try to give some throughout the class as well. Just that suggestion to go back and do the standing classes for a while until you're ready to progress. So here we go. I'm going to go face up breathing. Just taking some time to align my posture. Through the shoulders, little chin tuck. How's the curve of my back? Can I tuck my hips under just a bit to sort of feel more aligned? Palms up. Hips and low back feel good. And here I go, just focusing on some slow breaths in and out through my nose. As you go through a few cycles, then start to just ask yourself, are you holding any tension in your neck and shoulders? If you are, just try to let that go as you exhale. Trying to get the breath as deep as possible in the cylinder. Long, slow inhale. Expands out. Exhale. Everything recoils. After your next breath cycle, we'll take it to hands and knees. Just take some time to roll through your back a few times through flexion and extension, rounding your back up into flexion, dropping your head down. Let your head be heavy. And then slowly rolling through your low back, dropping your front side down, perhaps trying to drop the chest and move the shoulder blades together a little bit as you gently look up. Finding your neutral back after that, I'm going to bring my knees and hands in just a little closer underneath my shoulders and hips, taking the opposite arm and leg off into a hover. And then once you've got the control of the hover, if you feel like extending out, pushing through your heel, getting full extension through your knee, you can pace this yourself, slowly bringing that back in and changing sides. We'll go for time here, so just alternate sides. Wherever you're at in the reach, you want to be able to control the level of your hips. So if you're wobbling like this, maybe just taking off a little bit. Tucking the toe of that base knee side can help, but that can put a bit more pressure on your knee. So maybe you don't reach as far. The arm that's stabilizing you can spread the fingers. Make sure you're not locked out in the elbow. And just feel your whole sort of shoulder complex supporting you, not dropping down, ideally, or having the head drop down. You can rotate your palm in of this hand you're reaching and lift your thumb just a little higher to the roof, trying to stay out of the neck. We'll go from here into half kneeling position. Come off the wrists, give them a little shake. I closed the curtain because it was so bright, and now I feel like I'm in the dark. But anyway, hopefully you can see me okay. We'll see how this progresses. So in the half kneeling position, you want to level out your hips. And I've got my heel pretty much straight out And I'm just going to pulse forward and give myself a little stretch through the front of the hip. There's lots of ways of thinking about balance in this position. So in this program, what I'm going to do is start with the pulses straight, then take your foot out a little wider. You can even angle it and do a few pulses wide. And the more you bring your heel in and work on your ankle mobility, try not to lift the heel. Okay, so if you don't have a lot of range of motion, you might be a little further out. You ideally want your knee to track over the middle of your foot. Okay, so this is a nice wide base of support. And before we change sides, I'd like you to walk your foot back to where it was and then maybe a little closer. So now this is more like in tandem or an inline hold in half kneeling. Focusing on something in front of you, now just try to align your posture over your down knee, relax your arms at your sides, and try some breath cycles. So there's little adjustments going on because this narrow base of support requires you to make a little movement in the ankle or the foot or perhaps the hip. You don't want to over tighten your hip muscles, but maybe you need to just kind of do that to not topple over. Now, if this is right in line and you're upright in balance, you could consider making this even harder by blinking or closing your eyes. So I'll try to close my eyes here and just see the little micro movements increase, just allowing me to sort of work on other things. That was a little scary on camera. Okay, so now I'm going to walk my foot back out and switch sides. Now you could practice this inline balance for longer than I showed, up to a minute perhaps, if you can nail that inline balance. So here I am, back foot straight. Now I'm doing my pulses forward. This is a safe start to training balance because if, for example, I close my eyes and toppled over, it's not like I'm falling from the floor. And you can do this next to a piece of furniture, a footstool or something, so that you've got some safety if you're feeling unstable in that regard. Bringing the foot out. I think there's a big carryover to nailing the half kneeling position for a minute on each side to when you're standing. Training the brain, teaching ourselves what we need to do. Those little movements can add up. Okay, so here I go, walking the foot in on this side and just going to smidge it almost in line. I've got my back toe flat. You could tuck it, which could give you a bit more stability, but again, that could be a little harder on the knee. That's similar to a lot of other exercises. So interestingly enough, even with my eyes open, I feel a little bit more micro movements, a little shaking instability here. Now I'll try closing my eyes. Yeah, there's a lot more that I need to do to stay. There we go, that's coming around now. Great, okay, so now we'll take it to frog rocks. So taking the knees a little wider, position the hands under the shoulders and spread the fingers. I've got my feet, toes angled out, and this can be a bit telling as you sit your hips back. Does it feel like the same amount of tension through the inside of the right foot and ankle compared to the left? You can start to bias over to the right, sitting as deep as you can comfortably go. I'm trying to maintain a relatively neutral back position, so I'm not sitting back and rounding my back up. I'm keeping my low back curve as I bias to the right. And then now I'll take my shifts over to the left. And then back into weight shifting gently over my hands, connecting my shoulders. And then back to center. I'm going to soften my feet now. That turned out kind of got a bit much. So now I'll sit back into my hips and I'll go straight back and I'll start to add some gentle head turns, looking over my left shoulder and my right shoulder, not moving through my neck too fast, but being curious with my eyes. Try to mobilize different parts of your neck. You can visually look at something behind you a little further back. And vision can help to drive your movement, give you a little bit more neck mobility. All right, so nice few takes on the frog, which sort of opens up the squat position on the floor. Next, I'll take us to our ankle series. This is always one of my favorite parts of class. Oh, why, Sheila, why? Well, I think I've had a lot of foot history stuff in. I feel like just taking care of the foot and ankle is really important. So I line up my posture. Sometimes in this position, it's not comfortable on the back, in which case you can bend the non-working leg. But if you can start to do some of this work with the leg extended, I'd say that's a good idea. Here's full extension of the leg, trying to push through the heel, have the leg at a position that you can get full extension. So if you're up here and bent, just back it off. Try to go through about 5 of these knee bends and then extend out. When you start to work the ankle in the point and flex, spread the toes. And here, let's make it 3 full range of motion slow, and then try to pick it up for 3 fast. And then take your foot rolling the sole of the foot in and out, trying to keep the leg still and have the movement just come from the ankle. And here's my fast. And slowly circle around, opening up the toes, giving them a little wave. Some slow circles. And some fast. This always surprises me how tiring that is to move the ankle fast. But hey, if you were to trip on something, you would have to move your foot pretty fast. So let's train that a little bit. Switching sides, readjusting the posture, making sure my back feels okay. Little chin tuck. Now I'll do those knee bends again. Pushing through the heel. Body maintenance. Here we go. About 5 of these. Holding the leg out. I'm going through the same slow and fast series, spreading the toes. My slow movements, here's my fast ones. Keep that leg still. And then some circles. Oh, fast. Avoid the thing that I don't really like doing. Okay, so truth be told. All right, sideline, hip cars. Okay, so here I just roll into my side. I'm going to take my top hip, roll it forward, stack my knees and feet, and just bring forward a little bit so that when I lift my top leg, I feel stable. Bring my knee up to about 90 degrees and slowly start to trace what you can get out of your hip by moving your leg around slowly. We'll go 2 circles in each direction, and then we'll switch sides. If there's any clicking or pain or discomfort, try to make the circle much smaller. If you're new to this, you probably won't have anywhere near the mobility here that I'm demonstrating as I come back and up. Nice deep breathing. I feel supported, like I could almost stop at any place through here. It's not stressful. I'm not pushing my leg into anything that feels out of a range of control, but I'm really trying to find the range I can control. My feet are relaxed. Good stuff. Okay, we'll switch over to the other side. You find that position, knees and feet a little forward, top hips rolled forward just a bit. Because if you don't do that, you would perhaps be getting some movement in your low back. And the purpose of this is to kind of create a movement map for your hip. What kind of access do you have? We need improved hip mobility, maintain or improve our hip mobility for all sorts of strength training moves. Just hit life moves too. Bending over, sitting down. But then in this training environment, squats and hip hinges and balance, all sorts of things benefit from more access to your joint capsule, the range that you can acquire. So nice deep breathing, finishing these circles off. Nice. From here, we'll lie onto the back and we'll go into a set of hip bridges. And this is going to be 5 doubles and 5 singles all in a row, unless for some reason the singles don't work for you. So for the double bridge, I'm connecting my feet about hip width apart. I'm making sure that I have an aligned posture. So if you have a big arch in your back, you want to decrease that arch just a bit, not flattening the back down. Activate the hip muscles by squeezing a little bit and come up to a height that feels in full hip extension. Not full hip extension, higher than this would be into my back. Okay, so you got to find that sweet spot. Now for the single leg bridge, try to just take one foot off the ground and not smidge your base foot closer in. So here's my double bridge width. That works. Foot off. I can grab onto the back of my thigh and start to bridge up. If you haven't done a lot of these, sometimes the single leg bridge can feel like you're going to cramp in your legs. And if so, we need to work on loosening things up, and also more double bridge, I guess, would be the thing off the top of my head before you take it to the single leg. So this is starting a strength set now. So that's the bridge. Second is bear holds. If you want to pick it up from a bear after the first one, so here's the bear, tucking the toes under, finding neutral back, returning to nice deep breathing. Give yourself about 3 breath cycles. You could modify this 1 breath cycle or a little longer. We'll do this 3 times, so you can shake out the wrists, reset. And what I was going to say is you could take it into a high arm plank if you want to make this a little harder at this point. Okay, so 3 breath cycles in a high arm plank. Pushing the floor away, activating the hips, muscles just a little bit. Take some time to rest. And then 1 more time. That looks great. Seated row is going to be next. We've had this in past programs. I like this version. It's sitting nice and tall, wrapping a stretchy band around your feet. It's just really easy to get into and to modify and really feel the postural muscles through your back. Now, with this series, what we'll do is we'll go with checking the tension, getting the row just right, elbows at the sides. So from this angle, you don't want to be pulling all the way back and having this into your shoulder and neck. So find the tension that you feel there's a bit of work there between the shoulder blades, and elbows are just finishing at the sides. You're not in a rounded back posture. Everything's nice and tall on your sit bones. Now, once you do that and you get the double, but meaning both arms pull, then take one side at a time. So then pull the right side, return, pull the left side, good, and then back to double. So try to do about 6 rounds of this. As you pull the single side, you want to stay upright and square. You don't want to rotate at all. So this is working your core, staying out of the neck, maintaining that good visual position. Right. See how I'm going kind of on a slow side and just really feeling the work through my shoulder blades. I mentioned finishing the elbows at the sides. You can also play with the width of the elbows, so you could take it a little wider, and even your double one a little wider, or stay narrow, elbow close in. Nice little bit of variety challenges those muscles nicely. Okay, and then the last exercise in this set is the McGill hold. And I'll go through some options for holding the neck. And if your neck is sensitive, you'll keep your head on the floor. You want to extend one leg out, have one knee bent, and make sure that the torso is aligned. So again, it's that same connection, just feeling the rib cage line over the hips. Now, keeping your head on the floor, you could chin tuck, lift the heel off the floor a little bit, and you feel all of these muscles working. Return to nasal breathing. Don't need to support your head because you're not lifting your head. Try 3 breaths and then switch your top knee. If your neck is sensitive, you want to give yourself a fairly good amount of support, but you can engage your sternum and your forehead, kind of chin tuck and lift without flexing the neck up, supporting the head, lifting the foot, giving yourself those breath cycles. I'm feeling all of the muscles in here connected, and I'm breathing nice and deep into that connection and breathing out, letting everything recoil. Let's go one more time with this. I've just got time to practice. Hey, if you're not really sure where the level is at, try it with your head on the ground. Lift and be like, yeah, okay, that's a core exercise. Could have your arms at your sides and even lift your hands off. And then maybe this would be where you're at. No head support, hands at your sides and lift. Okay, so there's lots of variations. What I don't like is when you feel like you're putting tension in through your neck, because we already have enough of that. So we'll go right back through our series here again, starting with the double bridge and into the single leg. So taking some time to adjust your posture and your t-shirt, and then your feet are nice and connected. Little squeeze of those hips as you lift up. Gift your hips. Sometimes with your posture, you have to adjust this almost every rep till things improve, and that's just how you move. This is called the leg lock for the single leg bridge. I grab onto the back of my thigh, put my hand over my rib cage, lift nice and level. Switching. Into our bear holds or our plank holds. Taking some time to spread the fingers. Make sure your back feels like it's right in the middle ground. You're neutral. Tucking the back toes under. Here's my bear. Push the floor away. Return to the deep breath. Take a moment to shake out the wrists. You can even stretch them a little, palms up. 3 of something, so it could be 3 bear holds or stepping back into a high arm plank. Not just putting the weight at the base of your wrist. Come forward. Try to open up your hand. Use your fingers a little bit. If you have your knuckles tented up, see if you can sort of flatten your hand down. These little nuances don't seem like a big deal at first, but over time, they can really help with your overall movement. So 3 of these. I'll just do a short bear one, and then we're back into the seated row. Okay, so following along, modifying the breath cycles and making it your own. So seated row, set up the tension for the row with both hands pulling. Feels about right. And then check that. And you break it into a right, a single, and a double. Elbows a little closer for me this time. Nice deep breathing. About 6 rounds, a round being a pull on each single arm and a pull with both. Okay, so finishing off that friendly reminder that if you're feeling that driving up into your neck, try to squeeze between your shoulder blades a bit more. And sometimes with these, when you're done, you're done. If you start to feel anything in a weird way, McGill holds, last one, and then we're into some standing work. I call these McGill holds because Dr. Stuart McGill is a fairly famous trainer, back researcher. I think that's a disservice to call him a trainer. He's a lecturer, he's a doctorate. I can't even remember everything he has, but he's a smart man, and I've heard him at a couple of lectures. This is one of his exercises that he likes to work with back safety. He studies biomechanics and flexion, extension cycles of the back. He's got several books on training. One of them, The Gift of Injury, I really enjoyed. But this is a safe back exercise, like it for your back core training, right? And it may not be the sexiest exercise in the world, but you know, it's a gold standard. I'm supporting my head a little, lifting, breathing. 2 times per side. Feel free to give your head a little roll and make sure you're not shrugging into the neck. The work is in your core box, shoulders, hips, everything in between. As you come up, be mindful that you're not lifting your leg too much and you're not flexing your head too much. The challenge is really just a little inch or less, a magazine underneath your head and heel. I'm not holding it for as long as I'd like you to, so go ahead and finish those at least 3 breath cycles per side. And then next up, we'll come to standing, and we'll start training the squat position. Grab a sip of water, clear my space for squats, starting with body weight. Squats, feet hip width or wider, toes can be straight or turned out. Just connect your feet to the mat. Take a breath in and pull yourself down. Go through about 5 of these. Inhale, everything feels pretty good. You can come down and shift your weight to one side and then the other and get a sense of whether you're nice and centered as you come up and down. If everything's feeling good, then we're going to load that up. Let's start with 8. I'm going to load it up with 2 dumbbells today. If you pick a weight, and then I've given you a rep suggestion, start to go through your loaded squats and your 2 squats in and you're like, this isn't happening, and just put the weight down and go back to body weight. If on the other hand, it feels like, okay, maybe you didn't load up enough, try going a little slower. More time under tension, more work. Just listen to the body. You're only going to a depth that you feel works for your body, all your joints, your back. Nice strong breath in as you come down. Exhale, coming back up. Excellent. Second exercise is balance reaches. We had this in the last program, balancing to a piece of furniture or into the air. We'll alternate sides, and we're going through 3 per side. One of the things I want to emphasize is the connection with your foot. So just take a little time to spread your toes. If you're in bare feet, you can certainly roll your foot a few times and just really get into that floor connection. Taking the breath in as you hinge is going to help stabilize your hips. Grab onto something, make sure your shoulders and hips are square, that you're pushing through your back heel. Take another breath in as you come back up. This is just practice. So some days your nervous system and your energy is a little bit more dialed in, you might find it a little easier than others. Don't get frustrated, just continue to practice. Next up is push-up variations. This could be from an elevated surface or back to the floor for a push-up or a lower. Okay, so you could take it over to a wall, spread the fingers. This is just a straight pull in, work those shoulder blades, push away. Your body's like a plank. The further your feet are away from your wall, the harder this is going to be. The width of your hands is somewhat individual. I like to try and have them around the height of my shoulders. As I pull myself in, I'm actually trying to sense whether my shoulder blades are coming together. And as I push away, there's a bit of spreading. The number is a question mark on my program sheet because this is really relative to where you're at in this practice. Push-ups take practice. Okay, we can go second round through. I'll show some modifications from the floor. The last exercise is an overhead press. I'm going to go with one side, simply from standing, connecting my feet, pressing up, and pulling back down. I like to think of creating a shelf underneath my armpit, so I'm not just all loose here. I'm connected, ready to press, open up as much as I can using those muscles on top of my shoulder, and then pull down back to this rack position. About 5 would be my rep range suggestion. This is also a core exercise, okay? Reason being, as you press up, you don't want to lean back, you don't want to lean to the side. If you can press this weight well and stay nice and tall, like, you know, a plank or a pillar of strength, then you're training your core. You're not putting your back under any stress. And if it's easy, then you probably should load up a bit more or go more reps. Okay, so you've got to start to figure this out. It's not just me that figures out the magic. Here we go. Love that. Just feels like I'm really connecting right down through my feet. Okay, back to squats. Oh, I'm going to go with my heavier weights. Loading up about 8. I'm going to take the weights to the shoulders and really connect in. So I'm using my lats, my underarms. Breathe in as I come down, exhale up. Remember, you can go slower to make it harder. Get her done. Good. Now, in the first set, I did the balance reaches like we had in our last program. Here's the way to up the game. Take one of your dumbbells, hold it between your hands, and now we're not reaching out as we did with the balance reach. It's more down. You're just hinging to a place that you can control and come back up. You could try 3 on one side and then switch. And a lot of the same principles apply in that if you breathe in as you hinge, could make it a little easier. Pushing through the heel of the leg that's going back, thinking about extending that heel to the wall behind you. We call that an external cue. That could be helpful in improving this movement. I'm going to switch sides, reconnect with my base foot, get tall. The weight isn't supposed to control my back, right? It doesn't pull me into a flexed or a rounded position. I'm connected through my shoulder blades a little bit and my armpits. So just keep that in mind. Ideally, when we weight train, we want to be in control of the weight rather than the weight controlling us. And that's empowering. Okay, so that's the way we're going to bring that one up. Now back to the push-ups, whether you're at the wall, you know kind of what you did before. I'm going to show some versions from the floor. So a plank is the foundation of the push-up. And then we can bring it to a lower or a mini push-up. So here's the lower all the way to the floor. Hello, dumbbells. And bend the knees and come back up. A mini push-up works, but it really doesn't train the connection all the way to the floor, right? I'm not a big fan of push-ups around the knees. I know a lot of people show those, like this kind of thing, a mini push-up. I'd like to see you in a full plank with a tiny mini push-up, or putting a pillow underneath your front side so that you can soften the landing as you come to the floor. 55% of your body weight on the floor and less as you come up. So keeping that in mind, go to our overhead press. You want to just keep modifying and practicing different levels, making sure you're not compromising your back as you do your push-ups, being reminded to keep that tension through your hips, just like the plank tension is always good. It's like, oh yeah, squeezing my hips is going to make it a little easier to do. I'm opening up the angle of my palm a little bit. This weight is in my wheelhouse, so it's not super easy, not super hard. I've got a little liberty with the angles. If this was a max press, some big kettlebell press for strong first, something like that, I would probably be a little closer in. I'd be using other techniques to get the weight and create the tension in my body, like making a fist or anchoring into my feet more. Right? You can do a little bit of these moves, but you don't have to pull out the max tension techniques for everyday training. Pulling, doing what I'm suggesting, connecting, creating a shelf, pressing away, thinking about your posture. I think this is where everyday training is at. Depends on your goals, right? That feels really good. So that's 2 rounds through of that one today. We have one more set, and we're going to start with static lunge, loaded, 6 per side. So I'm going to grab my weights again, have the weights at my sides, split my stance, back foot's nice and straight. I'm dropping the back knee a little or a lot. I'm thinking about the connection of my front foot and just bringing this front knee in line with my midfoot. You can bring the front knee forward if that feels okay. That works. This is generally more knee friendly, where the front knee stays over the heel. Here we go with a little bit of loading. Did I say 6? I think so. Switch sides. Upright in posture. Here's a few forward. Modifying the reps based on how that feels for you. Band walks are next. Okay, so if you don't have a resistance band to put above the knees, you can do these exercises without the band. A lot of bands on the market these days, some of them are fabric. I've tried the fabric ones. I prefer these rubber resistance ones because they just seem to stay in place a little bit more for me. This is a Perform Better brand. What have I got us doing? 2-way walks using your arms. Okay, so slight hinge position. Step out to the side, spread the toes, walking about the distance of a yoga mat and back about 3 times. Now again, you do this move without a band and you have your hips back and getting those arms moving. This is still a fair bit of work. When you have the band, you want to be stepping away and not collapsing in through your base foot, your base knee. So I'm pushing the knees out to get that tension. Out, out. Feeling the work coming from my hips. I got a little bit of a burn going on. And as long as I can breathe through that, keep the quality of the move, I'm good with this feeling. In some of the exercises, I've read research about 10% of the exercises you do. That's a good thing to work through. Some people find it very uncomfortable and want to stop as soon as they get that feeling. Here's the forward and back. Still trying to work the elbows, and the hip muscle working as I step back, keeping my feet wide enough that the band's not collapsing me in. So back, 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 forward, forward. So we're adding that resistance band to just make the hips work a little bit more. Two more exercises to go and we finish this set. The first is a deadlift or a hinge movement. We've had these in previous classes. So if you've been using load and you want to grab your dumbbells and do a hip hinge right off the bat, that would be great. If you're new to this, I'll go over some of the cues. It's always good to be reminded. 2 dumbbells, sit the hips back, breathe in, exhale, come up. Because I have the dumbbells, I can rotate my palms and get a little shoulder work in. Bring the hands back. This is a neutral back position. So as I sit my hips back, I'm being mindful not to round my back, not to go knee forward. I just slide the weights down to my knees or just below, trying to keep that back nice and long and coming up into posture and open it up. So this is the hip hinge movement, right? Here's a body weight hip hinge. You can also grab kettlebells, 1 or 2, and in future weeks, I'll show some heavier deadlifts. Right, once you groove the pattern, you know what to do. It's safe. You breathe in, you lift, rebreathe, you lower. You're creating some intra-abdominal pressure to the imposed demand, right? So if these are light, I don't have to overdo my breathing. If I'm lifting 80K from the floor, I want to make sure I'm dialed in and I'm really focused on the amount of pressure I have to support my hinge and my back. That looks great. Okay, so rep range in not max weights is up to 10, and modifying that down from there in a set if it's heavier. The last one we're going to do is a take on the farmer's carry. I walked with it in the last program, and with this program I want to pick up safely. So I'm going to hinge back, pick up 1 weight safely, and just simply stand with my best posture, 3 breath cycles, and then a hand transfer. So I'm not walking this time. I'm looking straight ahead. So many subtleties with this move. You could go feet wider, sit your hips back and deadlift it. About 3 breaths and then switch. And I'm going to put the weight down, and while you're practicing this 2 to 3 times per side, I'll show you some of the subtleties that you might catch yourself in. So you pick the weight up and you're here to stabilize the weight. So did you see that my knees locked out and that I kind of sat back into my butt and into my heels? So my posture's not floating over my feet. And then not to mention this angle, right, which wouldn't be neutral and training the core safely. There's this angle. Okay, so there's a lot going on with the weight. Gravity wants to pull it down. You could be over squeezing your grip and firing up your forearm. You could be letting the weight take your shoulder down. I'm exaggerating, but even just a little. So there's the side to side, the lateral kind of stability that you're wanting to work with this as well. It's a very functional exercise. Paying attention to those details and not walking while you're doing it, as much as that walking version is one of my current favorites. This really dials in like, okay, this is good, right? I'm feeling my toes. I'm not too far back. I'm not here. And these are the kinds of subtleties that I think will really be a big bonus for your improved core strength. That's it for today. So thank you so much for building a stronger version of yourself. What's the new tagline? Growing stronger never gets old. So thank you for watching. I'll see you next week.